understanding on how to interact with AI system. So this is a strategy where the government is following, and we are truly pursuing on that. Thank you very much. I appreciate for all questions.
Thank you, Dr. Nkunde, for your presentation as well as the answers to the questions. I'm sure Dr. Nkunde didn't disappoint us. Can we clap our hands again for Dr. Nkunde? Well, we are at least an hour and 20 minutes late. So the next panel discussion will be on unleashing artificial intelligence and robotics for socio-economic transformation. And I would like to call on moderator, Mr. Zephaniah Reuben, to come to the stage here and call his panel, but have deducted just 12 minutes from your panel discussion so we can catch up with time. Can we clap our hands for Zephaniah?
Okay. Okay. So I'll use this. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I see the energy is down, but we're going to make it. So I'm going to call the people who we are very glad to have them here to talk about how we are going to unleash AI and specifically robotics in socio-economic development. So I would like to call Innocent Charles from Certify. So Certify, they build solutions for businesses and education. So you're welcome. Okay. So the second person I'm going to call here is Elias Patrick from Tech Forward Tanzania. So Tech Forward Tanzania, they just build technological solutions for specifically for community change, or we can put it more good like for a positive community change. And the third person is Emmanuel Sanzige from AI Africa. Yeah, so AI Africa, they specifically do mental health solutions. And the last person is Eliud Grigori from Kesho AI. So, yeah, so Eliud and Emmanuel, I think they're not here currently. And we can proceed with Elias Patrick and Innocent Charles. Yeah. First of all, I'm just giving you like 30 seconds to introduce yourself, very, very short, and then you're going to proceed. Yeah, Innocent, you can start.
Hi. Thanks so much, Mr. Zephaniah. My name is Innocent Charles from Certify. So Certify is basically the AI technology company specialized in Tanzania. So we do research, consultation, as well as product. So I'm very happy to be here. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. Habarini za asubuhi. All right, so my name is Elias Patrick, and I'm the Executive Director at Tech for Tanzania, a youth-led, non-profit organization that aims to leverage emerging technologies like AI to drive positive impact or positive change in our community. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Elias, and that was actually nice. So I'm going to start where you ended. Like currently, you're working on emerging technologies to to contribute to social development. So do we really see AI helping us to develop, as what did you were saying here about the GDP and all other aspects of social development? Do you see we are going to make it specifically in Tanzania?
Thank you so much. How many of us use the calculator, or you are still using calculator? Can you raise your hand? You're using calculator. Okay. How many decided to go old school and you decided not to use the calculator? How many? Okay, almost none. So calculator was a technology, right? And most of people didn't like math because you have to do a lot of simultaneous question, a lot of calculations. So sometimes it is even hard for you to solve issues, mathematical issues. So the introduction of calculator was a game changer for those specifically who studied pure mathematics in advance. They know how the importance of this imaging technology, by then called the calculator, how really helped the mathematician, and so many solutions that were built after calculator. I've decided to start there. So coming to the AI, it's a technology that the aim of the technology is to simplify our day-to-day life, to solve our problems from health to agriculture to climate change to all the aspects of human life. So I see there is a great potential for our community, Tanzania, for our government, from our people here in Tanzania to use AI for good, to use AI for building our local solutions. We know our problems, from health facilities to agriculture to education systems. All those reformation needs, the AI can be part of helping us becoming better. So from agriculture, we talk about food security, we talk about expanding production on agri products. We are talking about seeing children who are born with some diseases are being cured. So the imaging of artificial intelligence and the robotic is a game changer. It's going to revolutionize how we do things. It is going to it is even already started bringing some positive impacts. We see so many people now are learning some new skills, some new knowledge, some new insights that are helping us building better solutions. And that is one of the things we are doing actually at Tech Forward, to make sure that we are building our local solutions, because we know the problems that are facing us as Tanzanians, but us as human beings. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elias. That was nice. And that's made me reflect on how it has been a long journey from the time of where people used the steam engines, and that was the first industrial revolution. Then we had electricity, that changed everything. And then we had a digital age, or the information age, where we had internet and computers. So I was trying to think from the perspective of one of AI pioneers, Nyerere, say like AI is like electricity. And when you try to reflect how electricity is important, you can think of how AI is going to be very transformative. So I wanted to ask you, Innocent, do you see that transformation, and in what aspects specifically we can leverage AI to start even seeing the positive potential of this technology or this tool?
Yeah, thanks so much. That's very good questions. Yeah, I think AI as one of the most transformative technology we have right now. It could be used in so many areas. For example, in education, healthcare, agriculture, and other areas. So, yeah, to me, it's like, for example, AI. Because AI is all about mimic the human brains, the human knowledge. So, what it does, it basically democratizes the power that maybe previously, I mean, in the back years, there were so many, few people whereby they were doing this, they had knowledge that they used to do some of the stuffs just alone. But now with AI, that power is being taken back to other people, to so many people, and it can be applied to those kind of people to do so many stuffs. So to me, I really love AI because as one of the transformative technologies.
Thank you so much, Innocent. So I'm going back to Elias. You said like at Tech Forward, like most of the things actually currently are doing are based on AI. So AI is one of the technology that can power robotics. As we see current state robotics, they are embedded with AI, and more specifically generative AI. And as we've seen from the last update launch of Optimus and other robots. So from your perspective, considering the wide range of robots, from nanorobots to large-scale robots, which powers industries. DG shared, like, we have industries here in Tanzania which have deployed robots in their workflows. Yeah. So, can we think in terms of investment, or also we can think in terms of talent? Because to have them, you can decide to take two ways. Either build your own robots, or you just take from somewhere, like you buy. So what is your current perspective? How, if we are going to adopt robotics for socio-economic development, what is going to be the best way to approach this? Because it's at the initial stage, I can say. So how are we going to enter that?
Thank you. Number one, when you're talking about artificial intelligence or emerging technologies, there is so many things that are working behind the scene, because the AI needs data. That's the food for AI. It needs power, electricity. So my take will be, if I were to advise a high level, on high level, I would say the government needs to focus on improving the infrastructures. I know the government is doing a lot of things now to make sure the infrastructures are well in place, but I would say we need to add more effort on building those infrastructures that are real needed for these emerging technologies, like the electricity, like the computings. I don't know, like the computing power that is required for building our local is billions of money. So if we really want to reach the agenda of digital economy by 2030, it starts by the infrastructures, putting the right infrastructures in place. So that is number one. Number two, government cannot do it all alone. It has to do the public-private partnership. That's the key. Like working with the private sectors, working with people like us, Tech Forward. We work directly with the community. There is a part of digital literacy that we really advocate at Tech Forward. So there is a big value chain. We need, you talk about the skills, go Google how much it costs just to get to be certified as data scientist. You see, so like we need experts who will be able to feed the right data that are required to make sure that we build local solution. And number three, I would say around the policy framework should be a little bit adjustable to allow investors to be able to come. So from registration of companies, from the incentives they are getting, from the entire ecosystem, how it works, I think those areas can be adjusted to make sure we have enabled environment for investors. Yes, there is, and the government is doing quite good, but we can do more to make sure Tanzania become a center of technology. And actually, as you can hear our word tech forward. So we take the technology forward. Thank you.
So what if your technology replaces me?
Okay. The aim of the technology is not to replace human. The aim of technology, as I said earlier, is to simplify work. I will speak in Swahili so everybody can understand. Wakati tunakuwa, wazee wetu walikuwa wanatembea na miguu. Because there was no car, there was no electricity. Hakukuwa na vumbuzi nyingi. So, when walikuwa wamezoea kutumia these halls, when the technology came that you can drive now a car, kuna waliogoma lakini kuna waliokubali. So rather than thinking technology is coming to replace your job, yes, I agree some of the job will be taken, especially the repetitive jobs, the jobs that this can, the A, B, C, D, like the entire work for those can be, but for the people who are in that opportunity, are in that space, now it's an opportunity for them to re-upskill, as Dr. Mosaga was saying, upskill. So finding like, okay, how do I integrate AI into whatever I'm doing now so that I'm not replaced completely? Because at the end, somebody will need to monitor the AI. That should be you. And in order to be you, you have to have the right skills in place. So AI, rather than focusing on replacement, it's good to look on ways of seeing it as an opportunity to simplify our work, to make our life better, our solutions better, our community better, our health better, our agriculture better. That's the perspective that we should have. So it doesn't start with the replacement, it starts by seizing and tapping to the opportunity that comes with the AI.
Thank you so much, Arias. So I was trying to think, like, in most cases, like we say AI is going to help this, going to solve this. Can we share some very simple use cases so that we can give a big picture to people, like what is current AI is solving? And for instance, in Tanzania, we have solution A, B, C, so that's going to give people the big picture of what is happening currently.
Thank you.
Innocent
So I will share three AIs we have built. I know last year I came here for Kitonga AI that everybody is aware, most of people who attended last year are aware of. Today I'll talk about Kirimotech. Kirimotech is one of the AI-powered chatbot that we have developed that help farmers, local farmers, to get all the farming information in Swahili just on WhatsApp. You just need to save the Kirimotech WhatsApp number. I think the booth is outside for the people who will be interested to go and try. You can ask anything about the market. You can ask how to farm tomatoes. You can ask, and in Swahili, you want to export in UK or in US, you want to understand the permits that are required, the tax law in UK, or in the agriculture sector, or you can ask in Kirimotech, and it's in Swahili. Number two, it helps farmers to detect. They can just take a picture of their crops, and the AI can just detect if there is any early symptoms of like the diseases. So it can do the crop management, like helping farmer to yield more, helping farmer to be aware, because we know we have a limitation. Okay, this is even perfect. We have a limitation of agronomists, tunawaita mabwana shamba. We have few of them, and then sometimes bwana shamba is just far from where you are, where you farm, and you are doing maybe potato or tomato, and then the disease just came. And then the extension officer said, I will come after 2 weeks because I don't have a budget and so forth, and then your tomato all of a sudden died. But with the Kirimotech, they just take a picture and they can get the early symptoms, and it can tell them the remedies that they can use for curing those. So like Kirimotech is one of the examples that we are doing in agriculture, but we have Maiwangu as well. It's helping youth to learn everything on public health, specific on HIV, like they can ask literally anything, and also on mental health in Swahili, and it all on WhatsApp, because we know we are building on top of something that is already existing, but solving our local problem. And another top up, it is in Swahili, which everybody understands. If you Google, most of things, variable things are in English, so we have decided to build things that will be helpful for our community. So I hope those two can be
Before
enough.
Innocent, you share, actually, the second example is very interesting, because most of the people currently know AI in terms of generative AI.
Yes.
So, but actually, we can solve different problems with different kind of AI apart from generative AI, as how you are using computer vision to deal with the crop disease detection. So that's a very perfect situation.
And the thing, you can send even a voice note. For disabled people who cannot type, they have capacity to send a voice note on WhatsApp and receive a response as much as they can hear. They can also, so it means even disabled people, they can tap into AI solutions.
That's what inclusivity means.
Yes.
So Innocent, welcome.
Yes, so for us at Certify, that now we have two solutions. One of them is called Twitter AI. So with Twitter AI, that we are trying to personalized learning experience to students. So for example, now in Tanzania, we know our education system, like government schools, like it is many students to one teacher. So actually, that's a problem, because you find that most of these students are not getting the better education. So with Twitter AI, it gives students a personalized learning, a personalized Twitter that students can go there, try to take assessments, to ask some questions, even to talk with the system with AI, and AI will be able to, give back the answers and even a recommendation on what to do next so as to improve the learning. So that actually saves cost, instead of our students like to rely on tuitions, maybe Mgote or wherever, they can actually use the systems at low cost because they're available anywhere. You know, anywhere, as long as you have the internet, you have the device, then you can actually access it. So yeah, but also we have another solution called DOS Pro. So DOS Pro is basically the ultimate document processing. So what we are trying to do with DOS Pro is that we are trying to innovate in the businesses. In the businesses, there are two types of data. So there is data that are not structured, for example, resumes, for example, finance, fintech documents, but also there is data that are structured, you know, for example, Excel data. But in the business level, most of the data are data that are not structured, and it takes a lot of time for those business people, for those employees to analyze, to get some valuable information from the data. So with DOS Pro, we are trying to come up with new solutions that actually solve that problem. So instead of wasting a lot of time to analyze, to go through those data, you know, so as to come up with conclusions, you can actually use DOS Pro, and DOS Pro will do that job for you. So it saves time and also reduce cost. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So for those who did advanced level physics, you can see Mgote is being repressed now.
Yeah, exactly, because, you know, it costs a lot. It costs a lot, and for our students in Tanzania, like we don't have that money. We know ourselves, we don't have that money. So with having a personalized Twitter, personalized, like someone who understands you, someone who you can talk with it anywhere, anytime, and be able to give you some assessments and to teach you, I think that's a very game-changing in Tanzania.
Thank you so much, Innocent and Elias. So I think this is going to be the final question, then we're going to audience. So we have government representatives here, and I know we are building startups. Yeah. So when it happens, you are asked, what do you need to make what you're building or the AI solution you're building impactful and reach the large community of Tanzanians? Remember yesterday, Dr. Mlamla said, and Professor Msele, like, we need solutions which can be used even in remote areas. So what do we need as startups or as solution builders? Or maybe we can advise or we can request.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one, Dr. Masaga, I think this will go first to the ICT Commission.
Exactly.
I know they are doing a great job for helping innovators. My biggest request will be, please continue building those innovation hubs. It's very important. So we heard that you are building, so CC as innovators, we are making a request, please put those innovation hubs in place. You know, we need innovators. You're talking about Kigoma. I have not lived in Kigoma, but there is someone who lives in Kigoma and knows Kigoma's issues. So if they imagine there's an hub in Kigoma and there is an innovator in Kigoma, means they will solve Kigoma's problem straight from Kigoma without even requiring people from across the country. So I would say for the government to build a lot of hubs where innovators can come. Number two, in connection to the hubs, I think the hubs should also have a part for co-working space. It's challenging as an innovator, as a startup, there's a lot of costs around, like registering a company. Brera is there watching you, TRA is there watching you, Manispa is there watching you, you haven't rented your office, Mama Mwenyumba is watching you, you haven't bought your internet bundle, the mobile networks are watching you. So you find there's a lot of upfront costs that a startup can bear. So imagine having this hub, they will cut a lot of costs, like free internet at the hub, number one. Number two, you get to meet, if there's a co-working space, all you need is a table and a desk, like a chair and a desk, so someone can come, can work, but they can network because there will be more innovators around the space. That's the same thing is done in Silicon Valley. It's like most of, where do you find innovators? Like we are all, like he spoke something I didn't know, like there's someone local is doing something AI for data. I'm an executive, I need to make informed decision based on the data that we correct. So if there's something locally that has been built and there's a place where where I can go and meet the people who are developing same thing, then it's becoming so good. So I would say in the hub, create enabling environment where startup can come, they can network, they can work while they are building their muscles to find their own offices for scaling up, but also even the investors will be easy to come and meet, because if a venture capitalist come, he cannot come because as a startup, I don't have even an office. How will he come to give me 1 million Series A? He won't come to fund me because I'm not in the right environment. So hubs will help. That is for ICT Commission, the Minister of ICT in general. Data privacy, personal data, privacy protection. I think you are doing quite good in terms of regulating our data, because as I said earlier, AI is about data. So protecting our data for us as designers to build ethical designs is still a key. But my biggest request will be create a friendly, adaptable policy that, you know, as a developer, sometimes you make a mistake. Like you also, Mark Zuckerberg, he leaked some data. He didn't do it intentionally, but somebody hacked it. So now all people's data are out there. So he might be sued. If he's sued, does he have a government backup to protect like, hey, they built a platform. They came to report to us, but somebody did something, like hiring a lawyer to protect them. So I would say on a high level, to have 100% full support to the innovators who are coming up with a solution. The last thing is funding. If you want to build, to scale up, at the end you'll need fund. You don't need money to start a big business, but you need funding to scale up the business. And I hope later on we have a session for funding, and we're inviting all of you to stay so that we can expand, we can double click on the funding aspect to see how do we tap into fundings and scaling up our business. So those are the 3 key things that I would have said to the government. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's very good.
Very short.
So for me, I think I have one of them. The first thing is actually adoption and as well as awareness. So awareness in terms of what? Because as a startup, at the end of the day, we have these solutions. So we create solutions so as to sell, you know. So we live in Tanzania, we create solutions so as to sell. For example, DOS Pro, for example, Twitter AI, we need to have people who use our platforms. But the problem that we have right now is basically awareness. So like most of people, they don't know about, you know, this stuff. So they don't know about how AI are going to impact their life. So there is like restriction, some kind of thing. So to me, it's like I want the government to, I mean, of course, I congratulate them through this conference. That's one of the initiatives, but it has to go more on that. Like people has to know a lot about these stuffs, and it's not about replacing them, it's about augmenting them, it's about making them having good life and stuff like that. So, and also the second point is for the case of talent. Yeah, so at the startups, we have ideas and we want to hire people. So the problem that we face now is most of Tanzanians, most of Tanzania developers, they really don't know about AI and, you know, this machine learning stuff. So it becomes so difficult, like to compete global, even to have, you know, solution that is good usable. So yeah, that's the call to you know, universities, you know, schools, and even to take our kids from, for example, maybe 2 years kids, 3 years kids, 4 years kids, 7 years kids, up to when they reach 24 years kids. 24 years, they'll be able, like, they understand these stuffs technically and in more depth, so that we could have, you know, good solutions and we could compete globally, you know. Yeah, and also the last point was, of course, he said a lot about funding. Of course, we need money, and for AI stuff, for AI, you know, robotics, like it takes a lot of time, you know, to come up with something that works. So if we don't have money, I think we can't survive. So funding is very important, and also the conducive environment for us to experiment, because, you know, AI is more about experimenting is about is more about experimentation. It is not like a plug and play. Maybe something will come and work tomorrow. No, maybe it can take years, maybe 4 years, 2 years, or 3 years, or maybe even a month. So if we don't have conducive environment for we startups to have that environment to experiment, to keep working on that until we prove to the people that, you know, this is it. So yeah, we need a good environment for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Innocent. So one thing to add there is, as innovators, actually, as we said, we should focus also on building solutions and not selling AI. Yeah, that's very important. And I think the essence is, at the end of the day, is to reach what we are talking about, socio-economic development. So I'm going to open the floor. I think we're going to take very few questions, probably 3, 2. Right, so I've been told 2 questions, then we're going to cross this. So we have... So we have someone there at the back with the microphone.
So thank you so much. I have a question to you guys. So I hear you building product, and I would like to ask you, are you building product for Africa? Do you think about going into markets beyond Tanzania? Because I'm a lawyer. I hear a lot of people from Nigeria, from Kenya coming in, want to deploy products in Tanzania. So I'd like to ask you, are you doing that? And if you're not doing or you're not there yet, what are the challenges that you're facing in exploring markets beyond Tanzania?
Thank you.
Can we take the second one as well? So when you respond to both of them. The second
question?
Yeah. Comment.
It's a comment, right?
We have a question before we allow the comment. I see none. We can take the comment.
Hello? Okay. So mine is a little bit of a comment based on the topic that has been discussed here. And what I'm going to start saying is, number one, change can be very scary, but it's inevitable. Hence, since change is inevitable, we have to make sure we adapt and accept whatever technology is coming in place. A lot of people are scared of AI and saying that AI is going to take your jobs. But unfortunately, AI is here to act as a facilitator. In a lot of industries, AI is facilitating whatever we are doing. For example, I'm in the industry of cybersecurity. It facilitates us in different areas, especially as defenders and as attackers. The people who are going to lose their jobs are the ones who don't want to adapt with the technology itself. So what I'll urge everybody is to try their level best to adapt with technology and try to use it to their advantage. A good example, auditors. We all know auditors, what they do. There is a possibility that they could lose their jobs. But what can auditors do? They could adapt with the technology, AI, and themselves become auditors of AI to make sure AI is working ethically and doing what it is intended to do. So that's just a simple example to show you that, yes, there are people who are going to lose their jobs, but you shouldn't be scared. Rather than looking at it as a problem, you should adapt with the technology and come up with new roles which are going to emerge with the technology that is coming. Even like right now, if you look in America recently, Elon Musk has recently released his new technology of Androids. They're talking right now about Androids, not AI anymore. So shouldn't we adapt of Android because we are scared of what Android can do, and it's just still hypothetical, you know? So the most important thing that I am trying to drive here is you all need to adapt with technology if you want to grow and survive in this industry. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kalim. That was nice. Yes, so we're going to respond to the question. So are our solutions scalable?
Yeah, the question was the law. So, for example, at Certify, as I said, we have 2 products. So one of them is Twitter AI. So with Twitter AI, basically is specifically for Tanzania. So we aim to target the students in Tanzania. But for those Pro is basically for global, like for other markets in East Africa, like West Africa, even outside Africa. So the problem that we face, for example, for us is basically regulation, because we do deal with the data. So you find that at some point, this data is being owned by those companies. So it's so difficult for them to actually use our system so as we can process their data. But what we do is that we have localized the services that every companies could come and actually create their local servers, whereby the data will remain to their servers. So it will be processed and will actually remain to their servers. So yeah, for us was actually regulation and also, privacy, data privacy issues and stuff like that.
Thank you. Elias?
Thank you so much for the great, insightful question. We are having I'm asking everybody to remain. The last session today, we'll be talking about promoting startups, AI startups, companies, and so forth. And part of the discussion will expand, will double click is the funding part and the building scalability products. But for the questions that she asked, I'll just be brief, but I'll ask her to remain till the end of the session. Number one, most of startups are having technical how, but they don't have business skills. So they don't know how to build a scalable product. And it's not because they don't have technical skills, it's because they haven't been exposed. Exposure matters. You can talk about my friend Fernandez, exposure, find where he started, where he learned, who is the mentor. So why it seems like our products are not scalable? It's because of the exposure. That's number one. Number two, to scale a product, any product, you need funding. It's sadly that investors, maybe even before going to the investors, the founders themselves, they are not matured to handle even investors' money. They don't know the language of investors' language, like venture capitalists, understanding the pitch deck, how to pitch, how to manage money, how to do the tax, how to do the audit report, like all those space they don't know. So all they know is to code. Coding is one thing. You can build amazing stuff, but put it out there, it's another thing. So it starts with the maturity of the investors, the startups, but also the scalability part of it is because of lack of exposure, lack of funding, and so many other areas from regulation part of it in terms of investors. Are they comfortable to come and put some money here? Do they get some really good incentive to scale, like our neighbor friends in Kenya? So there's so many things around that space, and I hope we'll double tap next in the afternoon session. But for now, startup needs more than technical skill. They need to understand the business skills so that we can build businesses that are scalable. And finally, I can give you, because I can testify, during COVID, I built games because I'm a developer. I built games that were scalable, and I got a license for 186 countries in the world. They were trending in China, so I did an interview in China, the network television, because they find like, oh, this is nice, because I put some different languages. I did with UK, the BBC, just because the solution I built from the end. I was not looking for Tanzania, I was looking for the world. So I urge all startup, when you build, yes, you are solving a local solution, like a local problem, but you, from the get-go, get to know that you are building something that will be scalable. Ukifungua kibanda cha kuuza nyanya, it's not scalable, my friend. Utaishia kuhudumia watu wa hapo mtaani kwako. Lakini ukifungua kibanda cha kuuza nyanya mtandaoni, kwa wauza nyanya ukawatengenezea platform, it's scalable. Everybody who sells tomato will be your user. Thank you. So let's build from starting our startups, let's have an end in mind, like I'm building something that will be fully scalable to the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So at the end, the discussion turned to startups, but what we are talking about is how we can unleash AI and robotics to socio-economic development. But the point I want to make here is AI needs investment, and for people where we can testify that it needed a lot of money to come with technology like large language model like GPT-4, more than $30 million. So where can we get that money here locally? So we can get that big picture, and the point I was trying to make is we really need investment so that we can leverage the power of AI. Thank you so much, and that marks the end of this session.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hello, okay, I'm back. Thank you, Zephaniah, for moderating the session. Quite interestingly, I like the comment that we should not be scared with AI. I remember who was here in year 2000 when we were going into the new millennium. I was working in a committee where it was expected the world will come into a standstill because we are moving into a new millennium, and the ICT sector was supposed to be the most affected one. But nothing happened. So I echo the issue that we should not be worried. My dear participants, now we are going for the second session, and this is for AI for public good. We'll have two presentations: geospatial artificial intelligence, optimizing public sector efficiency and resource allocation, but also building trustworthy AI systems. And we have a moderator, Mr. Dennis Karugaba, who will be calling the speakers, and will allow a few questions that to yes, please. Karibu sana. The floor is yours. Jamani, tumpigi hata makofi basi. And I didn't tell you we are live online, and people are watching this across the globe. So if you'll be sleeping, somebody in New York is looking at you. So please be active and listen carefully. Karibu sana.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. My name is Dennis Karugaba. In a very few words, I can describe myself as a tech enthusiast. I've had the honor of serving the IT industry for almost 2 decades now, locally and abroad. I feel very honored and privileged for this opportunity. And I'm going to call upon my two presenters. They're going to present two different topics, but more or less interchangeable. And then after that, we'll hold a short session of questions from the presentations, but from yourself as well as the public. So with that, I want to call Engineer Yusuf Shogolo from Liquid Intelligent Technologies. A round of applause, please. I would also call upon Mr. Zephaniah, who was just here, who is going to present about building trustworthy AI systems. A round of applause, please. I imagine that you have the presentation for Mr. Shogolo, please, if you can display it. Okay, cool. You can start. Yeah, thank you. Go ahead.
Hi. So I'm Yusuf Shogolo. I am a computer engineer, part of a product that Dr. Moses spoke about. I'm from DIT. He has been there mentoring me at some points. I'm here. I'll be sharing a little bit of geospatial AI and how it could help our public sectors. So about me, there's a lot to say, but a few. I worked with Liquid, and specifically my work is to create business cases. So I'm an AI business solution architect. Any industry, any place, any challenge, I see what practically could work. So I don't deal with theories. I just work what works currently, and that's where we bring your solutions. So geospatial AI, take it like just informations you can get from a map. Take it in a normal way, you could say satellites, imagery, and all the data that you can leverage. And with geospatial AI, we are looking of what AI could do in that field and help the public sectors improve their efficiency, but allocate their resources where it matters the most. Okay, so this is geospatial information. And with the ongoing tech development and what we can get from the satellite, Geo AI can give us the following information. So take it, this is not generative AI, this is typical AI and statistics, so you should not be scared of what you would create. So a Geo AI solution is built on an environment where you have all the data you can get from the imagery. And through it, you can get to see how the climate goes, so you get climate exposure. You get to see the economic capacity. So with the solution, you get to see what is going. Are they building? Is it commerce? Is it farming? Is it all types of data we can extract from imagery that tells us what economic activity is going on. And with Geo AI solutions, you can also monitor infrastructure. So you can see where buildings are going on. And this is real time. So you can now, if we are using it right now, we would know that there are ongoing BRT constructions. You can see ongoing buildings. And you can also see how land is used. Now, a combination of these with AI can really help optimize planning, allocation, and performance in our public sectors. So to have a general understanding, public sectors, it goes from health, education, any segment that the government would say citizen first solutions from the government. So there are a lot of use cases. I'll just pull a few. Yes. There are some examples currently. We have humanitarian response. So here is where we use geospatial information to predict occurrence of any disaster that has happened. So we have places where there is war. So we can see where it's well damaged. We can predict where people are going for new settlements. We can work and help the public sector decide where they should implement resources or plan for rescue. So we have some of the use cases where we target some programs on supply food chain. So it may be, for example, I would give one in Kenya. Hello, yeah, thank you. Am I audible? Hello, yes. So for example, in Kenya, we have an implemented geospatial solution. Some of they just match where fertilizer will be needed. So they check, they monitor their resources, their warehouses, and this is a private company that implemented, not the government, but it's still relevant to our use case. So they can forecast when the fertilizer will be needed based on the geospatial information that we get, when what services might be needed currently with the change of climate, and resources can be deployed. So some also used for tractors, so they already see what activities are going on. So where can we now send these tractors that can be lent to our farmers? Just by geospatial information, it's easy to say there's progress in this end and there isn't progress on the other end. We also have infrastructure planning and operations. With geospatial, we can not only see what is going on current, but we can see what these new infrastructures and new settlements align. So it's easy to say the government can analyze when we built a new bridge, what happened 10 years ago and what is might happen 10 years to come, and normal prediction analytics that will help them see, okay, we are now doing an impact here. We can see new settlements coming in and more of those use cases. These use cases can also be used in our health sectors. So you have hospitals, you have talents, being the surgeons, the specialists, the doctors, the nurses, the labs. We can see how we are serving the number in real time of how many customers, how many patients are coming in. What's the ratio between the doctor and the patient coming in? What are the uncovered populations that are there? We don't have any of the resources. And Geospatial not only tells you, but it can help you do analytics. And in a short while, I will project a demo of what it might do. So just in a nutshell, Geospatial can really help in any sector of our public sector when there's a clear need of resource allocation, putting where resources matters, resource monitoring. Are we matching the needs? Where should we allocate? Is there any redundancy of resources that we implemented? And it can be schools, it can be hospitals, it can be infrastructure. We can see where is that needed. It can be in agriculture. It can be in any angles there. We need to optimize efficiency, reduce the cycles of planning and survey, but having enough data to plan, to implement, to optimize and monitor. So with Geospatial AI, we are really saying it's possible to monitor the digital GDP in terms of the resources that we have, the data centers. We can see how many traffic is coming in, what traffic is needed, where is it loaded. We can check where our hospitals are, and we can monitor revenue streams through the platform, and it's centralized. So it gets even easier to make proactive decisions rather than being reactive of what is going on. So if it's possible, can I have that switched? I would love to show you an actual demo of a working solution. So this, yes, an actual demo. Okay. Yes. So while they, just a few minutes as they switch to a working demo for us to see, I would say with Geospatial AI, it really improves transparency. And whatever, if you look with what we have, there is a lot of approaches to implementation, right? There are many companies doing, there are many data sets, there are many access to what can be implemented. And it's easier being compliant, secure, and private insured with these solutions. So just give me a heads up if that is set, and if there's any challenge, we can skip. So resource optimization is even possible with this era of artificial intelligence. And it can be custom to the current data structures that we have. I understand there are many of tech understanding in here. So any data structures, any silos that they're there, it's easy to curate and make it happen. And if we have this, it will be easy to even avoid saying there are places that are favored, or there are places that we implemented solutions as a government and it doesn't work. We built a school, there's no settlements. But now we can even predict new settlements where they are, predict climate changes, and act proactively. Is it possible? 1 minute? Okay. Okay, I'm told there's a challenge switching up to the active demo, but I'm available throughout the session to explain a demo outside in one of the booths, and you would see there are many demos for that. We have one that is implemented here in Tanzania, with a startup like us, and they're dealing with energy, where they monitor where they should put more resources in how they serve their customers. So for me, thank you, and I'll be happy to discuss more about it. Asante.
I'm going to call Zephaniah to present his topic.
Thank you so much. Let me say, still morning. Yeah, so good afternoon, everyone, once again. My name is Zephaniah Ruben, as they are setting up the presentation. So I'm going to talk how to build trustworthy AI systems. And as currently we know, many sectors, individuals, they are trying to adopt AI either by using it or building solution on top of the existing AI infrastructures or AI systems. So how do we build an AI system that we can trust, but also we can interact with, as we can think the current relationship between human and machines. So back in the days, we know we used to find people either when you go to the street, you find a group of youth that they are discussing issues, could be matters of the country matters, but currently is very rare. Like you find most of the youth interacting with machines. They are using most of the time online. So when we are integrating AI to the platforms which they are interacting with, so how are we sure that we can trust those systems and interact with them? As we know, even human-to-human interaction, also trusty matters. That's why we have people who we can give our secrets, and we have people we can't give our secrets. So my name is Zephaniah Ruben. Machine intelligence specialist, but also I'm a lead AI educator at Log AI, but also I'm a co-founder of Nyerere AI. So with Log AI, our aim is to do AI plus education, so where we create courses, but also we do training to institutions and organizations on how they can adopt it, but also we do boot camps, like the technical grounds of AI. So if you are interested, you can visit and see what we do. With Nyerere AI, we actually need to contribute to the state of AI. As we know, currently, most of the innovations, specifically in advancing AI, are coming from the West. So we as Africa, can we really come with an impactful research output that can contribute to the current state of AI and push the boundaries from our own local context? So, okay. Yeah, so what is trustworthy AI? That's a question, like, we can start asking ourselves, what is happening? Yeah. What is trustworthy AI? I was trying to explain a bit. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes when I was starting learning AI some years back, the idea I had about AI is like something you can see in movies like Terminator, like very big robots which can distract and destroy things, or which can distract human habitats and all that. But at the end of the day, I came to find like AI is a very, very different thing from what I used to perceive. And from that perspective, where we thought like AI as a dangerous thing, I thought it's very important to think of how we can build trustworthy AI systems. And here are some of the things which we can think of when we are thinking of a trustworthy AI system. The first one is the system has to be ethical. That means fair and unbiased. So, for instance, when I give you a task now, go to these image generation softwares. It could be Gemini, it could be ChatGPT, Midjourney, or the like, and try to tell it to draw or to create a picture of a beautiful woman. you're going to see pictures which comes actually the white woman. So you think of that as a bias. That means there is no representative of what is happening in Africa. Like there is no representative of Africans in some ways. And if you can remember, in some months ago, Google shut down their AI image generation model because it was very biased. When you tell it to create, let's say, a George Bush, it used to create an African, and that was among the risks. Like, it's going to change all the history. For instance, we have currently youth who are growing. Maybe they don't have access to the actual history, and they found picture telling them like either George Bush was black or something like that. Then you see like it's going to change the whole history and how we used to perceive things from how they happened. Another thing you can try to, let's say, maybe Google about either a picture of peacock. You can see like when you get the results of the pictures, you might find like 8% of pictures which are coming there are AI generated. So, and most of them, they actually don't have the clear view of what we know peacock is. Some of them are deformed, like, because with AI, you can decide to create anything. And maybe you can say a peacock with maybe horns, and then you're going to have that. So how is that going to impact the reality we used to perceive, or we used to have, or to know? We can think in terms of that too. So another thing, the systems should be transparent. So imagine I'm owning, let's say, a recruitment platform, and I get resumes, I correct them, and I use AI to decide someone who I'm going to employ. And as we know, humans are also biased. Sometimes we used to employ people based on maybe our relation with them, or maybe some other features. So what if AI inherits those biasness? And then you create an AI system that is going to hire people based on those human biases which it has inherited. So we have to think in terms of that too. So that means we need to have, when we are trying to create AI systems to solve solutions, we need to consider aspects like that we don't build it with inherited human biasness or unfairness. Another thing is aligned. So when we talk about alignment, it's just like it's a problem they are trying to solve. So I'm saying they are trying to solve because I don't know actually if we are trying to solve it here at home. So the problem is humans have goals or have their own interests. So how do we build AI systems that are aligned to human interests, or that are aligned to human goals? That's another aspect. And to do this, if you can remember, when they released because ChatGPT is what brought the wave, so I'm going to be talking with reference to ChatGPT. Like most of the time, it was misbehaving. It was giving maybe relevant information, like hallucinating. But then they applied some techniques to make it align to what human needs. The technique, if you're interested, you can check about it. It's called reinforcement learning from human feedback. So they have to find human labelers to label the outputs which it was outputting based on their thoughts. Like, for instance, me, Zephaniah, I have my own interests and preferences. So I get response from a large language model. I can say this is okay, and someone might dislike it. So, and then they rank them based on what humans prefer to be the most preference to them. Then they retrain them to give what they need. So that is what they did. So come and think about the values from the West countries. Like, they have their own values which they live based on those values and culture and norms. So, and they train those systems based on those values. What about African values? What about Tanzanians' values? What about a certain ethnic group in Tanzania values? So we can think in terms of that too, on the alignment problem. Okay. Yeah, so we have some main pillars of trust in AI. So one of them is liability. I didn't talk about it on the previous slide. So we need to have a system that doesn't change, or it acts as we need, or as we expect it to behave. So I'll give you a story. Google was the first company to create large language model. It was called Lambda before even ChatGPT, and they deployed it. Unfortunately, it was misbehaving. So because as far as I know, there is a lot of procedures or bureaucracies in Google before they bring something in public. So they had to shut it down. And then OpenAI came with ChatGPT, and because they were acting like a startup, so they could have like a lot to consider in terms of, let's say, responsible AI or something like Trustworthy AI. So it happened that way. And the system wasn't reliable, so then they decided to shut it down. So how many times is ChatGPT reliable, or how many times your system, any system, it might be a generative AI system or any other AI system, reliable and can act as what it was intended to act. So we can think trustworthy AI in terms of reliability too. So another aspect is explainability. Okay, yeah, so explainable AI. One thing is these generative AI models, specifically the large language models, or any technology that is based on artificial neural networks, it's very hard to explain how it takes or how it does decisions. So they are trying to create different techniques to try to explain how these models are making decisions. So for instance, I give a case, maybe I'm a patient, I go to hospital, and then I got to be diagnosed. The doctor is going to tell me like what is happening. Like to draw the conclusion, there is a lot of evidences that tell the doctor to direct the doctor to that specific conclusion. So it is very different when it comes to AI, because it can conclude or it can give you a generalization of a certain case, but it is very hard to explain its decision. So with the concept of explainable AI, that's how also it becomes different to adopt AI technologies in critical sectors like health, because you are talking about people's lives. So when you adapt a system that is not trustable and come with the wrong conclusion to a patient and maybe lead to different bad effects, going to be a very dangerous thing. So when we are building AI systems, we have to take this into consideration, and it's very important. There are techniques which are being used, and most of them are just applicable in the normal machine learning techniques, which are mostly not based on artificial neural networks, because most of the artificial neural networks models are termed as black box, like they can't actually tell we did this because of this. Yeah. Another thing is human alignment. I talked about it, and I'll go to another aspect. Yeah, so why trust matters? Why are we talking about trust here? So the first thing I said, as most of the sectors adopt AI, or users adoption is becoming very large, it's very important to talk about how they can trust the technology in their daily basis operations. So the first one is, okay. Yeah, so access to increases user adoption. I think that's what is. Yeah, so the second thing is enhanced fairness and inclusion, and this actually we can think of it as representation of different communities in these AI systems. So most of them currently are biased, and representation is a very important thing. And sometimes you can think it's very important to be represented in in the environment where you are not there. For instance, we can think the African community being represented in systems which are being developed in non-African countries. That's very hard thing to think of it. That means we need to develop our own solutions, or we need to own the technology so that we can have that power to either reinforce it to adapt to our values and culture, but also to to have that representation that we are talking about. Another thing is to ensure decisions aligns with social and ethical norms. Yeah, I could talk something about, on this, but due to time, I will just move to another thing. Yeah, so let's come to the actual context of here in Tanzania and Africa at large. One of the things that happening, like most of us, or most of AI solutions or AI applications in Africa, they are being built on top of other existing solutions. That means if we are building something on top of another existing infrastructure or technology, by default, we can inherit some of the features of that specific system. So if it is biased, we are likely to inherit that biasness. And it becomes very hard for us to have solutions that actually are built for us. We can think of maybe we are trying to build solutions to solve local problems, but how do we think it in a long run? Like, we might think of it as we are being colonized in another way. Like, the technology we are using is not ours. We are building on top of other people's infrastructures or existing technologies. So what is the role we are playing? We are playing to those technologies. For instance, currently, when you want to build a solution based on large language models, you have two options. The first one is to build it from scratch. That means you have to start from the beginning, collect data, have the infrastructure in place, have the talent in place, and then start building. That's the first option. And the second one is to fine-tune, like take the existing solutions or the existing models and fine-tune them or downscale them based on what you want to solve or your own task or local problem. Those are the two options. But these two options have something similar. The first one is data. Like, you need data. So we talk about data actually at different perspectives, but as currently we have this large language model, and the shift is to small language models. Why? Because it's very hard to get data specifically in Africa context. So how do we think of coming with either an innovation or a research output that will help us create small models based on data that we have, because we don't have access to, let's say, large amount of data, or at some point we might have those data, but maybe we don't have enough infrastructure or high performance computing to process the data, and that becomes a challenge. Or sometimes we have data, but they are not quality data. They are not complete, they are not relevant. That's also an issue. So this is like, I'm trying to create a big picture of the challenge we are facing. The first one is data. So we might have data, but it is not quality data, or we might have data which is actually not useful. So I just give a simple testimonial on this. Like, we went somewhere to collect data, and we found like things which were supposed to be there, they are not there, and what you find there is just the names and maybe ages, which when you want to build a very scalable, powerful system, you cannot use those details specifically. That's one. The second one is we need computation infrastructure. So I talked earlier about the cost of creating technology like GPT-4, let's say. It's a lot of $1 million. It's very challenging to replicate that technology here, specifically because that's a very huge amount of investment. And you can start doing that, but you're not granted like it's going to work like doing one experiment and then you are done. because it's experimentation, iteration, like iteration technology, you need to do it. So are we going to have that investment to do something like that? It's a very challenging thing too. So we can think about that too. So for instance, I have, of course, in terms of infrastructure in Tanzania, actually we have some of them. For instance, I know at UDOM, AI4D Lab, they have a GPU. Also, I know at SUA, they have it, but also MUHAS, they have one. But when you think of them, they are not that large-scale computing powers to do what is being done by the pioneers of this technology we're talking about. So that's the challenge I'm posing. We can think about it. Another thing is quality talent. So you need a very, very, very quality talent to build these systems, because it's more of course, you can think it's in terms of programming, but you can think it's in terms of research too, but you can think it in terms of engineering. So do we have those quality talent to build technology like this here in the country? Like I know some of the universities here in Tanzania have created courses to create talents, specifically in AI. I know from East African Statistical Training Center, I know UDOM, I know UDISM, they have a data science master there. I know Musti, they have data science engineering. But they might lack industrial exposure, like how things works in industry level, like to create a very large AI system that can serve millions of people or billions of people across the globe. That's another thing. So AI actually needs very, very quality talent when you think of creating or going to global conversation on having AI systems that can actually scale and work. So that's what I wanted to share. And AI is here to stay. So you choose. Or you're going to stay here, or you're going to be left behind. It's your choice. And that marks the end of this presentation. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, Zephania, and thank you, Engineer Yusuf. Wonderful presentations. I've jotted down a few questions from your presentations. I hope you don't mind me going through my phones as I ask these questions. Engineer Yusuf, you've spoken about predicting future settlements in your geospatial solutions. I want you, as both your presentation speak of similar things, I wanted you both to speak about the importance of data in terms of its completeness and its accuracy.
This is off. It's working. Hi. That's a great challenge. I would approach it in two angles. There are angles where you want to, if I speak on a perspective of the geospatial solutions. So there are ways we always mitigate to ensure we have accuracy in the solutions we give. Number one, based on a use case, for example, if we are going to the health ministry, meaning there's a tech stack where we have the satellite being an API or just a running tech stack for the back end. But we really depend on the data provided by the owner of the data. And the angles of security and liability stays. But now, the challenge that my brother spoke about, you might find data isn't accurate. So if it's not accurate, we have not to do feature engineering. We have to train models based on synthetic data. So synthetic data is where we create, it's like a dummy data, but that has attributes and features that really correlate to the going environmental challenge we are trying to solve. So if you want to solve maybe a logistic problem and you don't have data, but we have a picture of what the data looks like. We can go through all angles of saying of scenarios and create a synthetic data that will train the solution. But still, when you're using it in production, we can always fine-tune it. For example, if you have a geo AI solution that tells you, when you go to Kigoma, there you will find 900 residents. That's the prediction model based on now we have agreed, okay, for what we have, the solution can go and is relevant. Still, when you go and find 890, you can feed into the system and say, you said you predicted 900, I got 890. So it fine-tunes by time and gets better. So the angles were from the beginning, during production, and during use. Users or recipients of the system would always challenge. Is where the transparency comes in and where the explainability comes in. There should be a justification why these results are coming. So it's not like, you get numbers and no, you have to, how did this number come from? There should be a technical justification of that, and that protects all the angles that my brother has spoken in terms of reliability, data accuracy, and the relevance of itself.
Great, thank you. Zephania, you want to chime in?
Yes, so I'll just touch base on the issue of privacy. Actually, when you talk about data, it's very important to think about it. But some of the solutions, they might, when let's say we are dealing with very confidential data, there is techniques which can be used to like to protect the data. For instance, the differential privacy technique, where you get data and then you can add some noise so that like you are trying to encrypt them, but you add some random noise so that whenever maybe they leak, it's very different for those people either to decrypt or to understand what actually those data represent. So I'm talking this to the regulators. Maybe if I know it's very it's sometimes a very complicated process to get access to data, specifically in our settings. So we can think of how we can give data either to, if it is startups or research institutions, with alignment to some of the techniques which actually preserve privacy of the data specifically. Thank you.
That's a great answer. Partly, I asked about that because we sometimes we are very laissez-faire in terms of how we handle data, especially the PIIs, the personal identifier data, and also PHIs. So I think that's we have a long way to go with that. However, we're heading there, as you said. AI is here to stay. I wanted to also check in with you. What are, in terms of the solution that we are building, we have, according to TCRA, only over 68% of the population have internet access in terms of penetration. This is in the urban areas, but only about 29%, this is in 2021, in rural areas. Similarly, in terms of technology penetration, we have over 85% using smartphones, while only 32% using feature phones. Actually, the other way around, sorry. What are the solutions that we're building that cater to that? Because you would see, and we've spoken about this yesterday at length, that we have majority of users in the rural areas. Are we building solutions catering for them, or are we building solutions at the risk of sounding privileged just for the people who are able to use the smartphones?
Well, from my end, there's a solution already part of working in, and we're also working with different companies on that. And we are giving access to people who use feature phone to access AI solutions. So be it in a telco, I'll speak specifically to a telco. There's a telco company in Africa that is already using, and it has got enough numbers of change of profitability and reachability and engagement in that end. They're just our neighbors here in Zim. And what we did is embed the solution with the gateways where with feature phone, either by SMS, you can chat with the model. So it may be ChatGPT, it may be a very custom solution tailored to the company. So we have access to via SMS, so people with feature phones can text and get replies, not only by SMS, but even USSD. So you dial nyota 140 nyota, you get your results and you engage. And that's a working solution already in the telco, one of our telco companies that I've been engaged to see it implement, and we are reaching out to many. So it's no longer that people who do not have smartphones don't have access. It is possible to have access to solutions. So I would just try to pull it back to my view of public sector optimization and resource allocation. So it may be dawati la maswali na majibu la serikali. It may be the government itself having a repository where citizens can just text any question regarding to the services from the public sector. And with that model, be it generative, via SMS, USSD, it's possible. It's just a matter of integrations to the gateways that are necessary to make that possible.
Fantastic. You want to chime in?
Okay, yeah, so at Nyerere AGI, actually, specifically, as we observed the current AI solutions, or the intelligence currently is being driven from language. So we thought language is a very important component of intelligence as per current advancement. So we created something to be able to connect people with tunasema Kiswahili sanifu, right? So as we know, most of for instance, when you go to Google Translator and some of the AI applications, they don't have the Swahili answers that we use to speak here, specifically in Tanzania. You might find it sounds like Kenyan, something like that. So we created there a solution where first thing you can understand the meaning of Swahili words, like by asking, you get the example, usage, and everything. But the aim is to reach the underserved community, because when you go to some of the communities, they don't use Swahili currently. I know that. So they find like they use their own specific language around that community. So we actually want to bridge the gap between the languages so that they can be able to access the technology with the language which they speak. For instance, if I'm coming from, let's say, Mwanza or Shinyanga, can I access AI, for instance, if it is, as you said, dawati la maswali na majibu in Sukuma, let's say. So that's what we are thinking of expanding to. And if you want to see that solution, you can visit our booth. It's there at the exhibition, and we'll actually love to get your feedback and what we can improve. Thank you.
That's fantastic. And I like both of your responses in terms of inclusivity, in terms of the solutions that you're building, leveraging AI to benefit the local communities, even underserved communities. And that goes hand in hand with, as we are honoring Mwalimu today, his belief, and he spoke passionately about this, that true freedom is a collective freedom. It's not just for individuals. And I really appreciate the solutions that you're based and your thinking towards that. And I am going to allow only a couple of questions, perhaps two, because I'm told that we are running out of time. Do we have any questions? And I would like to urge you that when you raise your hand, perhaps stand up, because the seats they have a bit of depth, so we can't see you. Can you start with the lady over there? Sorry. Please introduce yourself and ask your questions. We only have a few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Yusuf, first of all, my name is Elizabeth once again, and my question is, it goes to Mr. Yusuf. If geospatial AI can locate regions which are suffering from climate changes, then how are we prioritizing the resources allocation without marginalizing the vulnerable communities? And how are we staying updated to the advancements of AI so that our data does not stay inaccurate, as you said, because it's a challenge?
If you can also bring the mic to this gentleman over here, please. That will be the last question. So we'll have 3 questions, and we're going to respond to all 3.
Thank you so very much. My name is Ngande Uk from the UNESCO Regional Office for Eastern Africa, based in Nairobi. Thank you for your very enlightening presentation. Couple of questions and comment, actually, from Mr. Yusuf. The presentation and very exciting approach towards using kind of geospatial technology to map the environment and understand the need and prioritize. My question was vis-a-vis who provide that data. I want to believe that it's through satellite data on from somewhere else. And the way some of the slides were showing the reality of the mapping, I want to believe that there could be a technology that even goes a bit deeper, meaning that some people having access to those technology will be even able to know before us countries what are the opportunities out there, including even in our subsoil, and prioritize accordingly. So in as much as we want to leverage on the technology, how much are we bridging some of these gaps, including related to our data accessibility, and who really holds the data behind what we are doing. The other one will really echo the challenge posed by the second speaker, especially vis-a-vis the ethical issue and the way we innovate or think we innovate, because at times we just twist a basic innovation to serve a purpose. So along the line, do we really innovate, or we contribute to enhance a product that is already there? And that connects to the very interesting keynote we have had this morning in terms of really the value chain and the contribution to the GDP of our own innovation. So what is it that is really needed for us to innovate and to be able to say, and that will connect again to a question on our sister from legal background, when it comes to patenting, when it comes to copyright, and maybe this is what stops us from going international. Because the moment you want to go international, the whole aspect of copyright, patenting comes into play. And if you are not innovating throughout the process, you are missing out, and your contribution to the economy will be really minimal. So how do we start having a kind of mentality change to really own the whole process of creation and innovation? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your questions. If we can respond to those 2.
Hi, thank you. Those are very valid questions. Good one that I get a lot in angles of building AI solutions in different business cases. I would begin with Eliza. Thank you for your interest to climate. You're looking on how the informations that we get from these solutions help us decide. So I would necessarily say this is a partnership in a sense. If I be in the end of tech, I can offer the solution that to the government. It's the government that has resources where to deploy doctors. They have the priority, they have their plans, and they're in public, and their validation and commitment to how they do it. So the solution by itself and the data and the insights it provides, they depend to the action makers on the table that we have trusted to act on. So if this is in a specific ministry, we expect through those insights they can be proactive, they can decide to allocate, but then that comes to the compliance and the norms and the priority of the governing organ. So that does not, again, rely on tech, but we are there to really give them the back end. For example, the spatial information does not only end to the satellite and trying to see. That's a very list of innovation. In fact, spatial information is public. We know how the topology, the surveys, they are published in various landscapes for the world. But the back end is where it comes in, where we build specific models for specific metrics that a specific user or organ or government or user would want. So we all have different KPIs. So I expect a user to say, I need to monitor this out of this, and that is not common. And it's expensive at some point to just say someone in the world is just creating all these models to monitor for straight something else. But just to answer in a high level, be happy to talk more on the liquid booth. We give insights and the tech, and we hope the action makers to really do justice to the information they get. I hope that answers partly. Thank you. And is it Ndani, Mr. Ndani from Nairobi? Did I pronounce properly your name? Yes, thank you. So you asked the data, about the data, how private and secure it is. I would answer this in two approaches. When we are building machine learning or AI solutions, we answer the questions of ethics, privacy, transparency, all the values that my brother has portrayed in every step of development. So in a high level, I would say there will be consideration of compliance from the beginning. For example, here in Tanzania, it is with our agreement that everything stays in country. And that's our compliance. So if it's a solution here, the data, for example, I'm going to give an angle of a telco company, right? So a telco company, as an end user, knows where the base stations are, where the customers are, and that is private to them. When you are implementing a geospatial solutions for them to see the infrastructure, what areas it covers, what areas it doesn't cover, the information about where the assets are is private to the organization. When a solution like a geospatial solution comes in, these are the questions we ask our customers. Where do you want your data to be? In premise? Is it on a hybrid cloud? If it's in premise, it's upon the end of the developers of the geospatial solution to see how do they integrate all the functionalities in premise and the data stays there. So for developers, you know, we have APIs, so you can send your data, process results, and the results come back. And on the back end, there are no data that stays to the customer, stays on the other end. So there are questions and approaches of integrations that we approach these solutions to just have those answers. So there'll be no enforced solution that just runs and defies all the regulations. And the customer will have the checklist to say, okay, it's private, it's secure, there are cyber security solutions that are there in place. So there are answers, but in a high level, they are considered, but specifically in a granular detail, we go through those processes just to ensure all the worries are in place, are secured. And you asked, you gave like people trying to look on our data and go ahead of time. That's why we have laws globally on how we regulate the use of AI, how it stays safe and relevant to us as the humanity race. Apart from that, of course, if it happens, someone has time, has the money, and it just bypasses, though I know you lack like low-level unique data, if there's someone who can do all that groundwork and have your private company information, then maybe that worry, and that's why AI is the discussion, If someone goes through that, then that's somewhere we should be worried. But for now, it's something that I would say we should not worry.
Okay.
The data is safe.
Thank you, Mr. Engineer Yusuf. Do you want to chime in?
Yeah, I wanted to answer the second question.
Elizabeth, okay,
yeah.
Go ahead.
The second question about innovation. So from my perspective, I view innovation as a very dynamic thing. So if we try to recall back in the days, most of innovations, specifically breakthroughs, were coming from military. And then there was a bit of shift to academic institutions. So we had a lot of either patents or breakthroughs coming from academic institutions or academic researches. But when you look currently, most of innovations are coming from industry. Like, for instance, the innovations which are currently running the AI ecosystem. I'll just give an example of a transformer innovation came from Google. So it's very dynamic. And in another context, for instance, in Tanzania specifically, most of the innovations come from startups. So you see, there are different players who actually come together to bring innovation. But I see to come with a very impactful or a breakthrough, specifically in our context, we need the play of academic institutions should be there, to provide if it is a theoretical understanding of how things actually work, but also the industry, the technical people who actually use they transform from theory to solutions or practical implementation of what has been brought out from research. But also we need government to be there, to either support those two entities, but in other entities, for instance, in Tanzania, the startup entities. But what is currently happening is we are just twisting what is existing, so which is very disappointing in some ways, but it's because possibly we don't have much either drive to do that, to come with a very unique breakthrough to advance the ecosystem or the technology. So that's what I think. And most of the patents actually, for instance, in AI are coming from China, then US, I think. Yeah, but we have a chance to change the narrative. Thank you.
Do you have something to say?
Just to add, I hear a lot of us being disappointed, not to go against him, being disappointed of us not having that tech stack at some point. There's no shame in customizing what exists specific for us, because we are behind. Saying we want to create a large language model ground up might work, but is it necessary if we can leverage the infrastructures that are already, but protect our data, have those modules here and work? And teamwork too. It's even hard because everyone here wants to innovate. There's no teamwork. But if there was a way, and I know that's what ICT will introduce to us in the near future, where we can really have a like mind. If we have 10 startups doing almost the same thing, why don't you have a comprehensive unit? I know ICT will bring that to us. There are companies that are giving compute. So there are modules. For example, in Liquid, there are modules. You can come, and you don't need to put it on cloud. So eGov can just have their mod GPUs and stack, train. There's models that already pre-exist, and they are localized there. Now, we don't need to find engineers now to create new hardwares for that, but now we need engineers to fine-tune our data, ensure collection is there. We have regulations to make sure it's private, it's relevant. We can catch up, and we are proud to say Africans, we have a big leap in tech. So we can catch up what is there, stay compliant and with our regulations, and skip to straight where we can solve and put more gains to the pain points that we have as a country.
Great, thank you very much. I am told that we have completely run out of time. Before I let you go, I want to say that I'm very passionate with youth, and I appreciate that seeing you guys here, the youth being involved. Dr. Mosaga mentioned that we're the drivers of the digital economy. We have to make sure that we go over the 1.5%. So I appreciate you guys and continue the good work that you're doing. And thank you everyone for listening and your questions. Yeah, thank you.
Let's put our hands together for the moderator and the panel. If you can come forward a little bit for a photo, please. Can I have your microphone? Asante sana. Thank you, Dennis, for yielding back 8 minutes as well.